Now, corruption-tainted London mansion that the Buhari administration had targeted for confiscation now belongs to Nigeria's president-elect Bola Tinubu's son through an offshore shell company, which is also linked to the politician's surrogates. Now, the Tinubu connection with the property located at 32 Grove End Road in London, as well as its link with a petrodollar fraud investigation in Nigeria, was first revealed by an online newspaper, Premium Times. An interesting one, isn't it? Now, as part of the Pandora Papers investigation as well. But however, in a report on Tuesday, Bloomberg reported that Sheyi Tinubu is a beneficial owner of the property through shell company Aranda Overseas Corporations, citing UK company documents. Using leaked documents from Pandora Papers, it had been previously reported that Aranda was incorporated in November 1999 in the British Virgin Islands by Mr. Tinubu's trusted surrogates Boyega Oyetola, former governor of Osun State, and friend Eluyemi Eludoyin. Now, the incorporation was done months after Mr. Tinubu assumed power as governor of Nigeria's business capital, Lagos State. But Sheyi Tinubu's connection has only just been revealed by Bloomberg after the UK enacted a new law requiring foreign companies investing in the country's property market to declare their beneficial owners. Mr. Tinubu and his son, Sheyi, refused to respond to inquiries by Bloomberg on the matter. Sheyi, who was active in his father's campaign, is a businessman known for his interest in advertising. Quite an interesting one is there, right? Now, in order for us to understand why we are going to be having this conversation this morning, of course, I have a legal practitioner here, Murphy Obadini. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, and of course, virtually joining us as well to, have more insight into the conversation is Evans Ufeli, who is also a legal practitioner and, of course, a political commentator. Evans, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, my first question is this. Is there anything wrong that Sheyi Tinubu actually has or is the owner of this property? Or is the problem being the fact that he has been questioned, he has been asked to respond several times, okay, concerning how he owns this property with that amount of money, but he has not said anything yet. Recall that in 2017, President Muhammadu Buhari visited Bola Ahmed Tinubu in this same mansion. And of course, it was meant to go in for investigations, or were meant to investigate that property. It was, in line with former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison Madueke. So apparently, this supposed mansion is controversial, bought by the president-elect son, Sheyi Tinubu. My question is, he bought the property. Fine, there's no problem. They said the property does not belong to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it belongs to his son. Can you tell me what the point of controversy is in this particular expose by Bloomberg? Hello, Evans, the question is for you.
All right. Ordinarily speaking, the property in question has been a subject matter of controversy because it originally belonged to Diezani Alison Madueke, who the Nigerian government through the EFCC had trailed through the Interpol and the other security agencies, and the property have been subjected to that controversy over time. Now, there is this new revelation from Bloomberg that now belongs to Sheyi Tinubu. The question now we're asking is, the controversy surrounding the property, has it been resolved? If the controversy surrounding the property or its ownership have been resolved, then any other person have a right to purchase such property if the standing controversial issues have been resolved. Okay. Now, the new ownership, the only point where you can indict the new ownership on issues of corruption and fraud and any other thing of that manner is if you can prove that the new ownership, the owner purchased that property from a proceed of crime. Okay, so if Sheyi Tinubu now owns the property and the government want to investigate how he came about owning the property, they should investigate that. What we have now is just a Bloomberg revelation that Tinubu now owns it. Now, how he acquired it is what, if the government is willing to investigate, they should investigate that. You see, when properties are subjected to litigation, and through the process, the owner is, there's what they call a temporary forfeiture. A temporary forfeiture is when the security agency goes to court through a motion ex parte as telling the court that the property was purchased through the proceeds of crime, and there are clear-cut evidence, overwhelming evidence to that effect. If the court grants that motion for temporary forfeiture, the court will ask you to go and put them on notice and then bring the substantive suit. And if after the substantive suit it is clear that the property was purchased by a proceeds of crime, then there will be a total forfeiture. Now, after the total forfeiture of that property, the government or whoever the property now belongs to along the line have the right to sell to any other person who intends to purchase it. Now, if the second person in question also purchases it from a proceeds of crime, that can also be investigated. The reason why there is a lot of dust here is because everyone knows that Sheyi Tinubu is the son of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But that does not contrive to mean that the property have now been purchased by a proceeds of crime again until investigation says so. Until investigation says so. I am not going to join the bandwagon. I'm not. I don't know Sheyi Tinubu. I don't know the father. I don't know anybody. But looking at it straight from the point of law, strictly from the point of law, there must be evidence to show that another crime has been committed, okay, in acquiring the property again. Okay, so that is why perhaps the questions put to them by Bloomberg, they should have given their perspective or their position to it so as to clear the air. Right. But now that they are mute, you are going to have a lot of rumors, because people will have to fill in the gap for them.
True.
And that's exactly what is going on.
All right. This next question is for you. So the property had been previously confiscated in 2016 from Kola Aluko, who is known as a notorious oil dealer, reportedly connived with the former oil minister, Diezani Alice Madueke, to fleece Nigeria for nearly half a decade. I think the reason is because of the previous owner of this property and what the previous owner has, the attribution that is concerning the previous owner, and the fact that that particular property was under investigation, was also meant to be investigated as well, when President Muhammadu Buhari took over in 2015. However, I think when they realized that that property had been purchased by, Bola Ahmed's son, maybe for that particular moment, the investigation was stalled. Now, the question is, Bloomberg, this particular report, wrote to Sheyi Tinubu. They had written to the camp of the All Progressives Congress of the spokesperson to say something. Maybe let's just say, for the point of, according to Moses, sometimes let's be the devil's advocate. Okay, they didn't know that this property was under investigation or was acquired through corrupt means, so they acquired the property. But my question is, for Sheyi Tinubu purchasing that property, if his closet is clean, if there is nothing wrong, it's just like, I have the money, I want to purchase this property, I go ahead and purchase it because I like what it has, then how comes he did not respond to, maybe whatever messages or mails that was sent to him to give them the detail of, how he acquired the property and all of that?
Thank you very much. First of all, let me start by saying that there is already a court case on this particular property and also on the person of Kola Aluko. And as a matter of fact, there's an high court judgment on it, whereby Kola Aluko got a judgment against the EFCC, which I also learned that the EFC has appealed that judgment, because it's good that we go into the backgrounds of these whole issues a little bit. Evans, my brother, did a very fantastic job there. Now, the issue is, now there is a report from Bloomberg, and I want to see this report as a big challenge to our security agencies. Now, Bloomberg has brought a report. This report now simply means that if the Nigerian law enforcement agencies are not comfortable, not just with Aluko's ownership of the said property, which is already in court anyway, but also by extension, the new owner, the man in the person of Sheyi Tinubu, who has purchased. If you think, but first of all, let us establish that Sheyi Tinubu, like any other Nigerian, has a right to purchase any property of their choice. Then if the Nigerian government now feels that this man is too young, or whatever reasons they feel, or where could they have gotten that huge sums of money from, it's a cause of worry. Then that is why I say this report has challenged the Nigerian agency to now begin to do further investigation, despite the fact that the Nigerian government, through the EFC, is already in court with the former owner, so to say. The new owner, if you think that you are not comfortable with maybe the source of wealth or whatever you think as a government, the security agency should go for that to begin to investigate him. But beside that, I also want to bring in this aspect of it, that as it is right now, because I've read a lot of reports, a lot of comments from news
outlets.
Yes, and even listening to some stations, listening to callers, we must make it categorically clear that at this juncture, Sheyi Tinubu has actually not committed any offense known to law yet.
Okay.
He has just bought the property. If the government feels, because sometimes what we see as laymen as wrongs, sometimes they could be moral wrongs, which I see like what is playing a major role here. Maybe there is a moral wrong. Some persons will ask you 1,000,001 questions. Okay. Is the son of the president-elect at that age? Where has he worked? How did he get that kind of amount? Those are just moral things that people think morally. But as it is, he has not committed any legal wrong. And I am challenging the Nigerian government and its security agencies to go for that to investigate. If they think that they should, they go for that to investigate. Then another thing is, this particular property in question too, what was the state, the legal status of this property at the point of purchase? At what point did the former owner, allegedly, because these old discussions are all around the Bloomberg report. There's no court pronouncement yet in all of this. In fact, as a matter of fact, nobody has even taken the new owner of the said property to court. You understand? So at this point, we should be asking, because it's a general knowledge here that even when people have issues with the EFCs, for instance, and they have properties that are sealed, you say they are sealed, you see EFC go there almost immediately to seal those properties proper. And if this property was under such circumstances, I'm sure that the UK government itself would not even allow entrance or allow the usage of such properties under any circumstances until pending cases are resolved. So if the UK government, because this is not a small property from all indications, so if the UK government can fold its hands and allow a new buyer to purchase and take over, then it means that there's no proper legal petition per se against this, both the new and the new buyer and the old owner as regards the property, particularly in the UK. And even the case they have in Nigeria, like I said earlier, the former owner, allegedly now, won a case against the EFCC. Like I said, EFCC has challenged it. So we need to, I'm challenging, I repeat, I'm challenging the Nigerian law enforcement agencies to go further, to do their investigation. It's not just enough to fold your hands and rely on a report from the Bloomberg. They've done their job as a media outfit. They've just done fantastically well, but let them go and do their job.
All right, so let me ask Evans this one. Evans, now in advertising, they say perception is everything. Now, what is the perception and how does this affect the president-elect and how people will view? Because, I mean, a lot of things are hanging around him already from when he was declared president. In fact, from when he declared his interest to be part of the elections. You know, issues started coming up about some drug involvement overseas. You know, different things have come up. Now, this one, just before his inauguration, what is the perception that Nigerians and the world over would have about his administration going forward?
Yeah, the perception is a moral one. They said the president-elect have a lot of questions to answer. He has a lot of issues surrounding him. First, his past. People have concentrated in his past life and the allegations against him, the issues he have had in the past, and have used that to say no. He shouldn't have been contesting. He shouldn't have been elected. He shouldn't have all that and all that. You see, it is part of politics, okay? If you want to be a politician, you must be ready to swallow the bones and the hooks. And I believe that Bola Tinubu is aware of all this. Opposition will cook their own, okay? Politicians will cook their own. Everybody will cook their own and they will spread it, okay? Even Peter Obi, not too long ago, there was a information that he was arrested, detained, questioned. At the end of the day, we found out that it was just routine immigration check. So these issues will keep on and on and on. But all the issues have been summarized in a court proceedings, which is now before the tribunal as to his disqualification. That is for Tinubu himself. Now, Sheyi Tinubu is not the president-elect. Once get that clear, he has never been a governor before. I do not think that he has also been appointed at any point in time. He's a private citizen. Now, does a private citizen have a right, okay, to do what he has just done? I mean, I am in the UK here to purchase a property for my client. And I know the rigors. You will not purchase any property that has not been cleared. You will know you can't, okay? Because everyone is documented here, okay? Every property is documented. The history and everything is documented. The regulations are tough, okay? For you to even purchase a property, you must show an address of 3 years of continuous stay in the UK. So the compliance here is not what we think. So you asked about the perception. I know it's a negative perception on the father, and then by extension to the son who bought a property that had a controversial history. Okay, there is that perception there. And I also know it will be blown out of proportion. It will be blown out of proportion because these are people who are at the flashpoint of the leadership of Nigeria. And unfortunately, Nigeria is not working. Nigeria is not working. So whatever it is that we find or people find politicians doing, they will attribute it to the reason Nigeria is not working. Okay? In some quotas, they will tell you that the money used to purchase that property was stolen. That is a proceed of crime and all that. albeit without investigation and evidence. They will tell you that. Okay, a lot of people will say a lot of things. It goes down to the rigors of leadership, that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Okay, this is just the beginning of it. This is just the beginning. More further revelations will come out. Okay, those that are false, those that are true, those that have truth. Okay, but my advice to the president-elect is to ensure that he clears the air on these issues when questions are asked. Okay, because it makes it easier for the media, it makes it easier for the general perception. Because right now he's no longer a private citizen, he's now the president-elect. And as the president-elect, the public have a right to question his lifestyle and that of his family, and then make insinuations and conclusions. He's no longer a private citizen. So whatever he does, there was a time the current president, the son, bought a bike that will cost so much money, and people attack the president. Okay, so it's a natural thing.
All right. Mr. Murphy, several assets seized in Abuja and Lagos, for one, have been linked to President Muhammadu Buhari's allies, which also include ministers in his cabinet. And recall when he assumed office in 2015, one of his premises was to fight corruption. So how comes we see those within his close circle being engulfed in cases that one would question? You say you're fighting corruption, but the people who surround you are deeply immersed in it. So how do we isolate you from these instances? I don't know if you get my drift.
I don't know if they're deeply immersed in it.
No, they're deeply immersed in it. There are some cases that currently the EFCC is still investigating. And some of these individuals
has any been
are
proven?
within, would I call it the cabinet of, President Muhammadu Buhari's, would I say, persons who make decisions for him, persons who are part of his entourage. These are allies of his. So if you say you're fighting corruption and then we keep seeing cases like this which come up within those in your cabinet, it puts the question, do you understand what it is that you say you want to fight?
Thank you very much. First of all, those are some of the problems that naturally comes with a democratic system of government, whereby, for instance, we have a system that says that the criminal is innocent until proven guilty. And if you remember, this president, in the course of maybe one or two of his conversations, has said
the suspect.
Yes, sorry, the suspect, an alleged criminal, is innocent until proven guilty. This current president has said in one or two of his comments that his hands are tied. Because unlike the military days where the man is pronounced guilty until proven innocent, where the president can just wake up from the wrong side of his bed and say, you are corrupt and you should be arrested and jailed. So I'm just trying to say, but at the same time too, I have to also force the operations and the modus operandi, the understanding of our public office holders, especially the law enforcement agencies. And I will make reference to a recent media report where it was reported that the president has ordered for the arrest of the Ademewa REC officer who pronounced a governorship as a candidate in the person of Binani, the winner of an election that was ongoing, and who was also not the person that is authorized by law to make such pronouncement. So when I picked up a newspaper and I read that the president has ordered his arrest, I just laughed. Why do you need the president to order the arrest of such a person? The laws are already there. Yeah. The officers are already there. if you talk about the police, the DSS, and all what may, why do you now need a president's pronouncement to do your job? I'm now saying that we have a serious challenge. Exactly. We have a serious challenge. And the challenge is this, that somebody is alleged to have committed a crime. And because the security agency feels that because he is linked, or he or she is linked to the powers that be, then you must not arrest him, you must not get your job done. That's a serious level. Because I want to see a situation whereby these elites of the presidents are arrested or invited. Then if the president interferes, the media is there to also report, to say, well, this is the efforts the security agencies have made so far, and this is interference from the president or the president's wife or the president's household. We have not seen that yet. And I do not think that in this 21st century that the president, a president in a democratic settings, should just get up from his bed and say, this person should be arrested and jailed. There is a process. These persons, first of all, a case must be initiated against them. And they must be taken to court. They must also be given a fair hearing, which is one of the basic principles of law. They must be given a fair hearing. Then if the court pronounces them guilty, then we'll take it up from there. So I don't want to, at the risk of not sounding like a spokesperson of the president, but these are just basic things that we see elsewhere. Evans is in England now. And I'm sure that it's experiencing a different settings altogether. I wonder why you feel that somebody has allegedly committed a crime and you are waiting for a pronouncement from the IG. The IG is waiting for the president. The commissioner is waiting to hear from the IG and all that. So,
well, as it is now, we'll still have to wait for Sheyi, Tinubu, or the president-elect himself to respond to the release by Bloomberg on that report, because it's casting some sort of aspersions.
Yes,
on the person of the president-elect.
It does. But let me also bring in this: the president-elect, who is going to be inaugurated, how many days from now? 28 days or 27 days from now?
About 27.
Would not, even as a presidential candidate before the election, would not respond to every issue. So even when he becomes a president, he will not respond to every issue. That is why I think, I strongly believe that is why I strongly believe
around corruption should be responded to.
Yes, depending on the channels at which these issues are coming from. That is why I'm saying that even as citizens, even as civil societies, anybody who feel that something is not right somewhere should take up a case, because as a president in the next few days cannot respond to all allegations. Can, even as presidential aspirant or presidential candidate before the election, that they were both Atiku and Obi cannot afford to all allegations. So people must
let me come to Evans now. Evans, is it now in other parts of the world we see presidential?
Let me even chip in this. Okay. There was a time it was all over the place that the president-elect, the current president, was dead. There was a man from Sudan. Do you expect the president to be responding to all that and all that? Tomorrow somebody wakes up and say, in fact, there was a time they said the president has taken a new wife. The president cannot respond to all of this.
Okay. This is Nigeria, and it's beginning to look like we take a lot of things for granted. In other parts of the world, as I was saying earlier, people are groomed to attain political positions. Their lifestyle is monitored from when they are teenagers. Yes. They are groomed, and they ensure that they don't do anything that will incite the public or cast a bad light to the image of that person. But over here in Nigeria, we don't seem to care about where someone is coming from. We just care about where they have gotten to.
And the money they have.
So isn't that making it seem like we are not even a serious people?
Of course, yes, I agree.
Yeah, we don't really care so much, and that is why we're in trouble.
That's why we're in
See,
trouble. I like that. I like
yes,
that.
there was a time that Hillary Clinton used his private email to send an official email. The whole of the United States went against her. Even she lost her supporters. She lost virtually everything just on that issue. Okay, if you look at the UK, stars of the UK, the last two prime ministers that resigned were just issues on public debate for which they had to leave the office. Okay, you see, progressive nations must care about the people who leads them. Everything rises and falls on leadership. The TINUBU issue and the TINUBU issue cannot be wished away. It has to be dealt with. That is why I said they ought to have answered those questions from Bloomberg. Okay, and perhaps that would have brought the matter to rest. But right now, their decline or their refusal to answer questions is going to create more problems. Okay, and if you look at our laws, we have those who will take up public offices must declare their assets. Okay, they must declare their assets according to law, and there must be compliance to that effect. And if any have a criminal record, he is disqualified. Even the Electoral Act have provisions, and some other subsidiary legislations have provisions that you should not aspire to the office of the president if you have been convicted in the past or you have some criminal record and all that. So our laws have made serious concerted efforts to ensure that we get the best of us to lead us. But sometimes when people are in support of a particular candidate, or when you have followership of a particular candidate, there's usually this issue where the followers don't want to agree really that issues like this should be looked into objectively so that it can be resolved, so that we know the person we're electing and all that. In overseas, they check your record while you are in primary school, while you are in secondary school, your family background, your dealings with the public over time, and all that.
Do better here.
So that is why they have a cleaner system than we do. Accountability is important.
All right, thank you very much, Evans Ufeli and Murphy Abadoni, legal practitioners. We do appreciate you obliging us
Thank
today.
you.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, welcome.
Well, up next, most Nigerians in urban areas are outdoor eaters, but how safe is public food in Nigeria? That conversation comes up in a moment.